So, just as I comment on tricky race relation issues, here comes a story in the Hartford Courant Sunday morning about a penalty from the state upon caregiving agencies who did not comply with what I think is a very bad law about who they're going to send as caregivers. Requests from the care receivers wasn't clear whether that was an elderly individual or maybe their child, that came to include only a white person caring for my mom, or only someone from a certain country, or someone who speaks English. Let me take all three. The first of them is racist. Whether we use the law to exterminate racism is a dubious proposition. We've used it in some ways already, and I'm not convinced that it has any better result than open-mindedness, the tolerance, the working with one another no matter what the government says, to recognize that we have good humanity, and those few pockets who remain racist can stay that way to their own suffering. Stay that way and not be served by another race. You diminish yourself. You want that to happen? Fine. The best caregivers might come from the Dominican Republic, and you don't want them? Then you deprive yourself. For the government to deprive you on your wishes is a huge extra step, because now the government is making decisions based on race. Now the government is constraining you for your own choice, good or bad. We don't have laws that even require somebody to take care of a dying person on the street, okay? You do not have a duty to save. That I have some issue with. To say you have a duty to have somebody you don't like in your home, for whatever reason you don't like them, is intrusiveness that we should stay away from. Look, we already have many sex discrimination laws, but they end at the home. Landlords who are opening rental units can't discriminate based on sex unless it's their own home and they don't want men in a home, say, that is all women. That's allowed properly. Now the next category. I don't want a certain nationality in my home. There shouldn't be any restriction. You have, say, grandkids that would not like to have a caregiver who's espousing Marxist values, okay? So if you want to keep out an avowed socialist who might be spreading her agenda in your home, you should have the right to do it. How about the opposite way? Maybe you yourself are of the socialist bent, and you do not want a radical right Cuban American. They're very fervent about the evils of Castro. They've made it here to the United States and want to make sure that we don't become another Cuba. If you want to keep that person out of your house, you should be able to. Final category. The person who requests somebody who speaks English well. That is not racist. That is not nationality-based. That's not even culture-based. That is probably a job requirement, because in an emergency, somebody doesn't understand what you're asking. Where's that fire extinguisher? How do I get a hold of a neighbor? And you need a translator on Google? Your life could be in jeopardy. English as a first language, I think, should be the country's norm, but certainly in your household, you should have the control. Now, some will say, oh, that's just a shield for somebody who actually doesn't want a black person from, well, I'm not sure, because blacks from Nigeria speak English very, very well. So you could get anyone of any race and any culture, but just say that's their term for, I want a white American. English is their basic request. It knows no racial bounds, no ethnic bounds. Anyone who wants to can learn decent English and thus do the job. So if they, as employees, are restricting themselves from some job opportunities, that's their choice as well. It should not be imposed on a little employer wanting safety and happiness in her household. I'm Mark Stewart.